For me personally, being part of Call of Duty and the biggest video game franchise ever, all of my friends play it, my brother's obsessed with it, it's so much part of our culture and pop culture right now. When the call came through and the offer to come and do this, it was a no-brainer for me. It's an amazingly imaginative piece of art in its own right. You know, what excited me about it was a villain. I don't get to play villains very often, you know, I've never played a villain before. So that was the first thing that excited me about it. And I kind of came into the room thinking, oh, I'll do this villain thing, you know, I'll do this kind of classic Bond villain thing. And as it went on, it became a really interesting role, like all best villains. Psychotic and unpredictable, and I really enjoyed playing psychotic and unpredictable. I have never played psychotic and unpredictable, so that was quite fun. It was a really interesting challenge. My take on Admiral Koch is that he has an element of the dictator about him. He's an invading commander. He's someone who wants to control a whole race of people and feels that he's entitled to do that. He's also not afraid of death. That makes him incredibly terrifying. But I think what was great with Seylan Koch is that he's a madman. So I think I found that very fun to play. I think entertainment is, on many levels, escapism, isn't it? It's us being able to step out of our ordinary lives and step into something fantastical. I think that when video games or TV shows or movies allow us into that escapism but do it without treating us like fools and treating us with respect and putting forward a story which is intelligent and interesting and emotionally evoking, I think that's what Thrones does very, very well. I think that's what Call of Duty, how that's captured so many people's imagination, is its intelligent gaming. I think that's the key to it. The reason why I personally was very interested in coming in to do motion capture and to do Call of Duty was I've been lucky to have worked in theatre, in film, in TV. And video game is a really interesting medium for an actor to move into. This felt quite theatrical to me, being here, having no camera restricting my movement. I have a space to play in and I can try what I want in that space and everything will be captured. I think that's a really interesting exercise. It's something I would definitely do again. I found it freeing and fun. I see many similarities between Call of Duty and something like Game of Thrones, because it's one continuous story, isn't it? Nowadays we like continuous long-form fiction, you know, where we follow the same characters or we have a long story with a character that we can grow to know. And I think that's, in video gaming, Call of Duty does that. It allows you to create a relationship with the person you're playing. Just like Thrones allows you over many years to create a relationship with those characters rather than a 2-hour movie which you have to learn someone and forget them very quickly. My friends and family, when I told them that I was going to be a villain in Call of Duty, my brother, his eyes lit up when I said I was in this. Actors always talk about space, like the space you walk into, what the space of the theatre is like, what's the set like. And we can get quite obsessed by that, and walking into this space was a really interesting space to walk into. It's like a black box theatre. It's like walking in the neutral without costume, without anything to dictate who you are or help you along that process. So it's demanding and it's challenging, but it feels like in some ways going back to a very basic sense of acting. The scenes were really fun and I loved that, and I loved seeing this and experiencing all this, and it's been amazing. But there's something really childlike about walking into this space. Like, you get to play around. You get a little robot on the screen that does everything you do as you move around, and I just ended up dancing around and playing the fool. It was a lot of fun. I'm personally a bit of a space freak. I love anything to do with stars, galaxies, the solar system, other planets, new discoveries. For me, like space, anything that pops up on my news feed about space, I instantly am reading. I pick up books about it, I'm obsessed with it. So for me, this game, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, being set in space is just a brilliant step for the game. I think it's going to be great. I think we're living in a time when space tourism could very much become a reality in the next 10 to 20 years. I'm definitely buying one of those tickets. I can't think of anything more exciting. I got shivers when I watched in this game seeing Earth on a game and the beautiful graphics and how brilliant it is on this screen. Like, to see Earth from space for me is like tops. Yeah, when first coming in to do my first day on this, I didn't really have I loved that though. I have no idea what to expect, and I do when I'm going to a film set, or I do when I'm going to the theatre. I had no idea what this was going to entail, whether I was going to love it or hate it, whether it was going to be a few days of misery or whether it was going to be brilliant. You get very nervous about that, but that's what's brilliant about my job, is I get to do all sorts of strange things, and this was one of the strangest. But it was a really warm atmosphere, a really nice group of people, and I really enjoyed it. It's really incredible. it's pretty special. I was really, really amazed. The graphics are just, out of this world. I feel a real sense of accomplishment having finished this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I think what I'll take away about this experience is really that it's another thing I've learned. It's another string to my bow, another thing that I've discovered I like. And that's a great thing, to discover a new area of acting that I enjoy. For me personally, being part of Call of Duty and the biggest video game franchise ever, when the call came through to come and do this, it was a no-brainer for me. I'm personally a bit of a space freak, so for me, this game, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, being set in space is just a brilliant step for the game. What excited me about it was a villain. I don't get to play villains very often. I've never played a villain before. My take on Admiral Koch is that he has an element of the dictator about him. He's an invading commander. He's someone who wants to control a whole race of people and feels that he's entitled to do that. He's also not afraid of death. That makes him incredibly terrifying. This place isn't yours anymore. Go on. Save the bullets. But I think what was great with Seylan Koch is that he's a madman. So I think I found that very fun to play. Like all best villains, psychotic and unpredictable, and I really enjoyed playing psychotic and unpredictable. It was a really interesting challenge. This felt quite theatrical to me. It's something I would definitely do again. I found it freeing, and it was a lot of fun.